saw a great big tourist bus of folks from out of town. For 40 days and 40 nights, they covered miles of ground. They had a map and compass, but they still were not arriving. Oh, they couldn't get to Pleasantville, so they kept on driving.
Hi, my name is Gary Shaw. I'm here with my wife, Jeanne Shaw. We are members of the Leadership Council of the Indian Point Safe Energy Coalition. We have monthly meetings at the Stony Point Conference Center in Stony Point in Rockland County, New York. It's the first Sunday of every month. This past month, in February, we had 14 people in attendance. We also had 4 or 5 people on a conference line so that they could join in as well. And we addressed a number of different topics. And we had some very interesting talks. And I will now give the mic to Jeanne, and she can talk about how the meeting started.
So we began the meeting as usual with a go-round, and everyone in attendance simply announces who they are and sometimes why they're there. And this month we had a visitor whose name was Owl, and he was from the Ramapo Lenape and Sweetwater Standing Rock Camp. He started out by leading us in a prayer, a creation prayer, and bringing all of us and everything full circle. And then he explained to us the battles that they're having trying to stop the Pilgrim pipeline that the pipeline people are trying to force through their territory where they live, which is their own reservation land, and it's an oil pipeline. So that leads us to think about what's happening at Standing Rock, and there was discussion of that because Rick had been there, and Rick Ufford Chase is our humble leader of Stony Point. And one of the questions that Owl had was they're trying to figure out why the chairman of the Standing Rock Sioux, seems to have requested the federal government to remove some of the protesters. And nobody knows the answer to that right now. So we don't even know if that's true. But that was something that came up and raised lots of questions in everyone's mind. So hopefully we'll get an answer to that by the next convergence, if not sooner. That'd be great. So it was good to connect all the pipeline issues, since we have a pipeline coming right through Indian Point that we've been fighting. And it's all one, and that's kind of what the takeaway from that part of the meeting was. It really is all one, and it's the earth, and it's all bad and has to be left in the ground. So I'm going to pass this on to Gary again.
As we all know, pipelines leak, and a lot of the pipeline issues are about drinking water, and that's one of the big issues for the Lenape as the pipeline goes through their territory. It's not just about money. It's about money for the people who build the pipelines and operate the pipelines and make all the money from it. But it's about life for the people whose water is going to be contaminated by the pipelines going through it.
We started working on our upcoming commemoration of the ongoing nuclear disaster at Fukushima Daiichi. It's something we do every year, and Jun Sanya Suda comes down from upstate New York at the Grafton Peace Pagoda, and she leads us on the Peace Walk. And we have many people, they carrying banners, drumming and chanting. We walk to the old entrance of Indian Point, and we have a program there. We offer prayers and other vigil type things, and we present them with peace cranes that are very beautiful and colorful. But the whole idea is to hope that safety will remain and that they will close. We know they're going to close, but we've still got a few years, and we want to keep the safety happening. We don't want anything bad to happen at Indian Point, obviously, because that would be very bad. So we'll do that. And after we march to Indian Point, then we'll walk to Riverfront Green at Peekskill and have a water ceremony there, because water is life, and that's everywhere.
On March 11th, it will be the 6th anniversary of the start of what is, in essence, a never-ending problem at Fukushima. And as we do every year, we are going to be on a silent march, peace march, headed by Junsan Yasuda, a Buddhist nun from the Grafton Peace Pagoda in upstate New York. She and about 20 of her Buddhist friends will be coming down to our area, and we are going to start the peace march at the Cortland Metro North Station, where there's free parking on weekends, and we will walk basically silently, except for drums and chanting, to what used to be the main entrance of Indian Point, and that's at the corner of Bleakley and Broadway in Buchanan. They closed that entrance after 9/11, but we have little ceremonies there where there's some prayers, and we place origami peace cranes, most of which, or all of which, Jeanne has made, and we leave good vibrations and good prayers, hoping that over the next 3 or 4 years, while the plant is still operating, that there will be no major catastrophes, but there are no guarantees. We are going to have a visitor from Fukushima in just a couple of days on February 19th. His name is Dr. Tamba. He will be bringing us some news so we get an update on what's going on in Fukushima.
We are now having expanded gas pipelines going right through the Indian Point area, and that's terrible. And plus, across the river is where the oil trains go by, also known as bomb trains. And there's a little further on from that is the Pilgrim Pipeline, which is oil. So we've got everything happening, converging on the poor Hudson River, which we've been trying to clean up and save for so many years. And we just can't let that rest. So, and it's all happening right near Indian Point. So what could possibly go wrong? It's just not a good thing. So no more pipelines and barge moorings, which is something they want to do to hold more stuff. It's not good. We have to stop it all, or else we'll all become a sacrifice zone, and we don't want that to happen, do we?
And towards that, we also talked about the replacement energy, or energy that's going to be coming down from Canada, through the Canadian Champlain pipeline that'll come down from Canada, going along a cable that will be along abandoned train tracks and hopefully not too much under the Hudson River. But it's something that we always, as Jeanne said, the environment is all one. It is all encompassing. And so while we have been traditionally focused on Indian Point, we have spread our interests and our efforts to make everybody understand that degradation of the environment for profitability of big corporations will hurt us all and will steal the future from our children and grandchildren and the descendants to come. One of the things we want to try to make people understand is that clean drinking water is a human right. It's not something that you should have to buy, and so that's one of the big issues. You probably have heard that Indian Point is going to be shutting down their reactors. Indian Point 2 is scheduled to be shut down in 2020. Indian Point 3 is scheduled to be shut down in 2021. We hope that that will happen. We are cautiously optimistic. But that's not the end of the story. And the reason it's not the end of the story is that there are thousands of tons of high-level radioactive wastes in the spent fuel pools and in canisters, dry canisters, on the property of Indian Point. And so the spent fuel pools of Indian Point are terribly overcrowded. They contain more than 5 times the number of spent fuel assemblies that they were designed to have. So among the tenets or the framework of the closure of Indian Point is that there will be expedited movement of the spent fuel from the pools to dry casks, and we want to have a lot of oversight on that. We want people besides just the NRC and Entergy to be aware of all of the things that are going on there, because it's some of those nuclear wastes will be damaging to human DNA, will be mutagenic for hundreds of thousands of years. So it's really a problem. There's also the decommissioning of the plant, taking it apart piece by piece, and we have no idea exactly how contaminated the land underneath the plant is, because Indian Point has been leaking radioactive water into the ground below them for years and years. So there are a lot of things that are still undetermined. We were also talking about trying to have a seminar, a meeting, and trying to get public officials to come, all about decommissioning and the movement of nuclear wastes. And once we have information about that, we will let everybody know. And once again, as we've done a lot these days, we're trying to understand how we can give support to all of the environmental fighters, the people who are fighting for our world, because ultimately what we're trying to do is save the future for our kids. And again, the meetings at Stony Point are the first Sunday of every month. They start at about 1:30 in the afternoon. There is a potluck, so if you're planning to come, you're welcome, and you can bring something to eat, and you can be part of the discussions if you want to hear these discussions in person, and hopefully have ideas as your own that will help us along. And so that's what I have to say about the meeting. Do you have anything else to say?
I think that pretty much says it all. The meetings are great. They cover a lot of territory, and it's very interesting. Some people come all the time, and some people come once in a while, and that's okay. And it's always nice to see people who haven't been there in a while. And it's always good. You always learn something, and then you can go home and teach it to others. And that's good.
And I would just like to give a short commercial for the Stony Point Conference Center and Rick Ufford Chase and his wife Kitty, who are amazing people. And while it's a religious retreat, it's multi-faith, it's not heavy duty, and it's all about humanity and friendship and commonality and being united, as opposed to what we're seeing out of Washington these days, which is all about being divisive and damaging to our earth. So have a good time, be good, do the best you can.
I saw a great big tourist bus of folks from out of town. For 40 days and 40 nights, they covered miles of ground. They had a map and compass, but they still were not arriving. Oh, they couldn't get to Pleasantville, so they kept on driving. And then one day the sirens blew, the county was aghast. It seems the aging nuke plant had an accident at last. The stockholders who fainted couldn't be reached for reviving, and they couldn't get to Pleasantville 'cause there was no driving.